The courtroom smelled of polished wood and sweat, but the only thing Aching could feel was the weight of betrayal crushing her chest. In less than an hour, everything she had built, her marriage, her children, her dignity, would be ripped away, not by fate, but by the man who once swore to love her forever. The High Court in Nairobi was packed that morning. Journalists leaned forward with their cameras, ready to capture the humiliation of Aching Owino Mwangi. Strangers whispered cruel things from the gallery. "That's the woman who lost her husband to another girl. She won't survive this. He'll finish her." At the front, her husband, no, her executioner, Daniel Mwangi sat like a king. His expensive navy blue suit clung perfectly to his broad shoulders, his gold cufflinks flashing under the courtroom lights. His smile was not nervous. It was the smile of a man who already knew the ending of the story. On the other side, Aching looked fragile. Her black dress was plain, her once bright eyes dim with sleepless nights. Her trembling fingers gripped the edge of the table as though it were the only thing anchoring her to this world. Daniel leaned toward his lawyer and chuckled loudly, making sure she heard. "She's finished. I'll strip her bare, house, children, everything. Watch." Their love story had once been the envy of Nairobi. Aching, daughter of the respected Owino family from Kisumu, had been admired for her beauty, grace, and quiet strength. Daniel was ambitious, a rising tycoon with a silver tongue and ruthless business sense. Together, they looked untouchable. But the man she married changed. Success fed his ego, and ego fed his cruelty. He mocked her cooking, laughed at her clothes, belittled her in front of his friends. Whispers of affairs grew into scandals splashed across blogs. When she confronted him, he hissed in her face, "You brought nothing into this marriage. You are nothing without me." When she confronted him, he hissed in her face, "You brought nothing into this marriage. You are nothing without me. Don't forget it." Now, standing in court, those words cut deeper than ever. The brutal judgment. The trial was merciless. Daniel's lawyer painted Aching as unfit to mother her children, accusing her of negligence, weakness, and irresponsibility. Witnesses, men and women Daniel had bribed, testified against her. Her lawyer tried to defend her, but Daniel's money and power tilted the scales. The judge, tired and unmoved, delivered the final blow. In the matter of custody of the children, the court rules in favor of Mr. Daniel Mwangi. The words struck like daggers. Aching gasped, her body shaking as tears welled in her eyes. Her 3 children, her whole reason for breathing, were gone. As for the division of assets, the judge continued, the marital home, all vehicles, businesses, and financial accounts are awarded to Mr. Mwangi. Mrs. Aching Owino Mwangi shall receive no claim. The gavel slammed. Case closed. The courtroom buzzed with excitement, people murmuring like spectators at an execution. Aching collapsed into sobs, but Daniel only smirked. As they walked out, he leaned close to her ear and whispered, his words dripping with venom. "You are finished, Aching. Even your children will forget your name." That night, newspapers carried his photos, smiling with his new lover draped on his arm. Social media lit up with headlines. Tycoon Daniel Mwangi wins divorce battle. Ex-wife left with nothing. Meanwhile, Aching packed her life into one suitcase and moved into a crumbling single-room flat. Neighbors whispered when she passed. Children pointed. Old friends avoided her. Her children were kept away, their visits strictly controlled by Daniel. She would sit by the window clutching their old photos, sobbing until her voice was gone. One night, as rain hammered the tin roof of her flat, she sat on the floor with an empty stomach and swollen eyes. She whispered into the darkness, "Maybe this is who I am now, a woman cursed to suffer. Maybe God has abandoned me." Her late uncle's words flickered faintly in her memory, but they felt like a cruel joke. "Never let anyone write your ending, Aching. Destiny always keeps a secret." But tonight, those words gave no comfort. Tonight, she was broken, forgotten, and stripped of everything that made her whole. Weeks dragged into months, and Aching's life sank deeper into misery. The single-room flat smelled of damp clothes and boiled water. Her neighbors pitied her at first, but soon they grew tired of her silence and sorrow. Children mocked her in the streets. Shopkeepers looked at her like a beggar when she asked for credit. She had nothing left, not even the will to fight. Everywhere she turned, Daniel's shadow mocked her. His face was on billboards advertising his companies. His new lover's photos were splashed across Instagram, sitting in cars Aking once rode in, smiling in front of the mansion that used to be her home. The papers called them the power couple of Nairobi. Each headline cut deeper into her soul. The pain of losing her children was worse than hunger. Each night she dreamt of their voices, their laughter echoing in the empty flat. Sometimes she would set aside plates of food, imagining they would come home. But the plates stayed empty, and so did her arms. Daniel made sure of it. When she begged to see them, he spat cruelly, "Find your own life, Aking. These children don't even ask about you anymore." His words crushed her, though deep inside she prayed he was lying. One evening, while Aking sat in the dark staring at a flickering candle, her lawyer knocked at the door. He looked weary, holding a sealed brown envelope. "I came as soon as I could," he said softly. This changes everything." Aking frowned, too broken to believe in hope anymore. "What could possibly change, when everything is already lost?" she whispered. The lawyer placed the envelope on her table and slid it toward her. "It's from your late uncle, Otieno Owino. His last testament. He left something behind for you." Her hands shook as she tore it open. The letter inside was written in her uncle's bold handwriting. Her eyes blurred with tears as she read. "To my beloved niece, Aking. I know life is not always fair, and I know men like Daniel Mwangi think power is forever. But true wealth is not flaunted, it waits for the right hands. I leave to you all my estates across Kisumu, my land titles, my shares in Golden Harvest Industries, and the accounts I kept abroad. They are yours, and yours alone. Never forget, destiny always keeps a secret." Aking's breath caught. Her heart pounded in disbelief. Her uncle had been one of the wealthiest men in Kisumu, a man whispered about for his secret holdings. Could it be true? Could she, the woman stripped of everything, now hold more power than Daniel Mwangi himself? The lawyer smiled faintly. "It's real. The documents have been verified. We'll present them to the court tomorrow. Daniel doesn't know what's coming." That night Aking couldn't sleep. She lay awake staring at the ceiling, torn between disbelief and fear. Could she rise again? Would society ever let her reclaim her dignity? Somewhere in the back of her mind, her uncle's voice whispered, "Never let anyone write your ending." The next day, the High Court was once again filled with journalists and onlookers. Rumors had spread that something shocking was about to happen. Daniel strutted in with his lover at his side, smirking as cameras flashed. He blew kisses to the reporters, enjoying the attention. Aking walked in quietly, dressed in the same black dress she had worn before, but this time her eyes held something different, an ember of strength, faint but unshaken. Daniel sneered when he saw her. "Back again? You still don't know when to quit." The judge called the court to order. Daniel's lawyer stood, preparing to dismiss Aking's latest appeal. But before he could speak, her lawyer rose, holding a thick file of documents. "Your Honor, before this case proceeds, we submit a last testament belonging to the late Otieno Owino, uncle of Mrs. Aking. The documents have been verified by the Registrar of Estates. We request they be read in court." The room went silent. The judge adjusted his glasses, then opened the envelope. His voice echoed through the chamber as he read aloud. "To my beloved niece, Aking, I bequeath all my estates, my businesses, my lands across Kisumu and beyond, and my international accounts, valued at $50 million. Let this be known, no man, not even her husband, has claim over it." Gasps rippled across the courtroom. Journalists sprang to their feet. Cameras flashed furiously. Reporters shouted over each other. Daniel's face drained of color. His lips moved, but no words came out. His lover shrank in her seat, her eyes wide with panic. Aking sat still, her tears flowing freely, but this time they weren't tears of pain. They were tears of vindication. For months she had been humiliated, cast aside, stripped of everything. Now, in the same courtroom where Daniel crushed her, destiny had lifted her higher than she ever imagined. The judge banged his gavel for silence. "Order in the court. The will has been verified. This property belongs solely to Mrs. Aking. Mr. Daniel Mwangi has no claim." The room erupted into chaos. Some shouted in disbelief, others clapped quietly. Reporters rushed forward, snapping photos of Aking as she stood shakily to her feet. She turned to Daniel, her voice trembling but firm. "You took my children. You took my home. You mocked me when I was nothing. But look at me now, Daniel. Look at me. Daniel tried to protest, his voice breaking, "This is not possible. This is a lie." But no one listened. His lawyer sank into his seat, defeated. His lover quietly picked up her handbag and slipped out of the courtroom, leaving him alone in his shame. Aching walked out of the courthouse into the flashing lights of 100 cameras. For the first time in months, her shoulders were straight, her steps steady. The whispers had changed now. "That's the woman who was left with nothing, but look at her now." She rose from the ashes. That night, as she sat in her small flat, her phone buzzing with messages and calls from people who once mocked her, she smiled through her tears. She whispered to herself, "The tables have turned." Weeks after the shocking courtroom revelation, Nairobi buzzed with whispers. Daniel Mwangi, once the untouchable tycoon, now walked under a cloud of shame. His empire began to crumble as investors pulled out, wary of his arrogance and the stain on his name. His lover, the same woman who had paraded with him in cars and mansions, left quietly in the night, taking what little she could. Newspapers that once hailed him now ran headlines dripping with mockery, "The Fall of Daniel Mwangi." Meanwhile, Akieng's life transformed overnight. She moved out of the damp flat into one of her uncle's estates in Kisumu. For the first time in months, she slept in a bed that didn't sag, ate food that filled her, and felt the dignity of walking into a bank and being treated with respect. But even as wealth flowed into her hands, her heart ached. Money could never replace the years lost with her children. She needed them back, no matter the cost. Her lawyer filed for custody, but Daniel fought viciously. He brought in expensive attorneys, dragging the case for months, refusing to let go. In court he sneered, "She's unfit. She lived in filth while I gave them luxury. My children will never live with a beggar." His words sliced her heart, but she stayed silent, letting her lawyer speak. Then came the day that shattered Daniel's last defense. Akieng's team presented evidence of Daniel's secret life, forged documents, offshore accounts, and proof that he had siphoned millions from his own companies. Former employees testified about his cruelty. Even his children's nanny spoke, describing how Daniel often locked the kids away while he entertained his mistress. Gasps filled the courtroom as the truth unfolded. The same reporters who once wrote of his greatness now scribbled stories of corruption and abuse. The judge's ruling was merciless. Custody of the children was returned to Akieng. Daniel was fined heavily for financial misconduct, and his accounts were frozen pending investigation. His empire collapsed overnight, leaving him stranded in the ruins of his own pride. The day Akieng was reunited with her children, she broke down in tears. They clung to her, whispering, "Mama, we missed you." Their voices healed wounds deeper than any fortune could. She vowed never again to let anyone rip them away. But destiny wasn't done with Daniel Mwangi. His so-called friends deserted him. The lavish mansion that once echoed with laughter now stood cold and empty. Creditors seized his cars, his companies folded, and everywhere he turned, doors slammed in his face. Once a king, now a beggar in the same streets where he had humiliated Akieng. One evening, as rain pounded the sidewalks of Nairobi, Daniel sat on a bench outside a supermarket, drenched and shivering. His expensive suit was torn, his shoes muddy. Passers-by stared, whispering, some laughing, some pitying. None offered a hand. For the first time in his life, Daniel Mwangi tasted the same humiliation he had fed to others. Then a black SUV pulled up. The door opened, and Akieng stepped out, elegant, composed, her children seated inside. She looked at him, her eyes calm but cold. Daniel staggered to his feet, desperation in his voice. "Akieng, please. Help me. I have nothing left." For a moment she said nothing, just watching the man who once ruled her life now broken before her. Then she spoke softly, her voice steady as steel. "Do you remember the night you mocked me in court? The night you told me I would never rise again? This is destiny's answer, Daniel. I am not the one who destroyed you. Your pride did." She turned to leave, but paused and looked back one last time. "I forgive you, Daniel. But forgiveness does not mean I will save you. Goodbye." The SUV door shut, and the car pulled away, leaving Daniel in the rain, a ghost of the man he once was. Akieng's story spread across the nation, a tale of pain, betrayal, and the triumph of destiny. She had risen from ashes to power, reclaiming not just wealth but her dignity, her children, and her voice. And Daniel Mwangi became a living warning whispered in every corner of Nairobi. pride will strip a man faster than poverty ever could.